Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and listen, guys, my webcam is on the fritz. It does this from time to time, and usually, if we jiggle a cable, we can get it working. You got to go back on a computer in order to do that. So I think you're not going to see me in this video. I'm just going to talk, and we'll leave this picture up. Today happens to be the 6th of September. And if that doesn't ring a bell with any of you, well, it's Roger Waters' birthday. So today we are going to be talking about Pink Floyd. Where do I start? I think it's safe to say Pink Floyd made the best music. I'm just going to come out and say it. The Beatles made some amazing music and certainly paved the way for Pink Floyd. But when it comes down to it, the impact that music has made on people, Pink Floyd made the best music. They certainly made some effective music, and you can criticize it all you want. You can say, well, Pink Floyd's music is this or it's that. It's cheesy, it's corny. Some people really express a distaste for the Wall album, which was a very significant and brave choice for Roger to make. I think it's safe to say that I give Roger Waters permission to be as big of an asshole, to be as conceited and as self-centered and megalomaniacal as he ever possibly could be, in that I would say we deserve to be looked down by a superior being such as Roger because of his great contributions to Western culture and music. Roger, we love you. Now, his bandmate, Syd Barrett, I had made it's a challenging thing that I made that's on this channel. It's called the Syd Barrett essay, the STP essay. And this was something that I found in print. I am a fan of a band called Men from the Border. And they're they're Norwegian or Swedish guys, and they have a Pink Floyd, they have a Syd Barrett tribute thing that they did. That's really on a high level. So these guys, obviously they don't speak English, but there's a Men on the Border Facebook group, and I went over there and they had this essay printed, and it was like 13 parts or something. It was really long piece of work, and it had incredible amount of detail involving Syd Barrett's personal life, specifically in the time period of 1966 to 1968. And the claims that are made in that essay is that, there was a flat at 101 Cromwell Road, and the people that lived in that flat, these were people who were Syd's age, and they were they were counterculture people that were really into drugs. And as an extension of this, they talked about, I believe it was a free school. Was it a free clinic? I think it was both. And this was some establishment through a university, and they had a group of older intellectual guys. There was a doctor. Syd's psychiatrist was one of the people involved in this. And it was like this group of intellectuals, and it seemed to me like an excuse to get these older intellectual types exposed to a bunch of younger people so they could mate with them. That's sort of hanky-panky. But it was also an idealistic, looking to improve society type of think tank, art group, free school, free clinic. And that you hear in one of the interviews, Rick Wright, I believe, is the one that said Sid was hanging around with a group of people who thought that they had found the answer in drugs. And those people didn't have any qualms about giving him unlimited and unhealthy quantities of drugs, because that's what they did. And that's the 101 Cromwell contingent. Now, we know Sid's girlfriend, was it Jenny, was having an affair with another older guy, some intellectual character. I think all of this is tied into that story. And again, you'd have to go back. I believe you can go to the Men on the Border Facebook group and find that and read it yourself. You can find the videos on my channel. I read the entire thing into the camera. And it was hot. I remember it was summertime. I did it with my shirt off. So I ended up putting some real heavy filtering, psychedelic, cheesy effects on the video end of it. So it's kind of a challenging read. It's me reading this essay. And one of the things that they theorize about in this essay, and I also, it surprised me to hear Nick Mason mention this. I don't have a source, I don't have an interview, but I'm going to assure you that this is true, that Nick came out and said, well, there is some people now who theorize that Sid may very well have gotten a hold of a drug that was not LSD, a different drug, which is what caused his mental issues. Historically speaking, people associate Sid Barrett's breakdown and his exit from the group, which happened somewhere around now, somewhere around September in 1967. That was when everything was happening, wasn't it? The end of the Summer of Love. Can you imagine being born on the day after the Summer of Love? Can you imagine that? What that would feel like for the rest of your life, to think you missed it by one day. But that's my life. Anyway, the STP thing, if you look into the records, which it's hard to find, and it seemed to me for years, if you tried to find anything out about STP-DOM, it wasn't listed among all the other information. Now there's a little bit more information coming out about it. People are remembering, yeah, that did happen. But Dow Chemical held the patent on this drug. And the FBI went around and they made it so it was illegal to sell the precursor chemicals in order to manufacture LSD. They shut off the LSD fountain in 1967 is when this happened. And because it was a free-for-all. They had made it illegal in 66 or 64. And then there was these smart people like Owlsy. They always talk about the dancing bear. They would just order up what they needed to cook LSD and prepare it. It's just a lab procedure. You know, it's a complicated one, cleaning it. And that's what they say about Owlsy made his acid with love. Meaning he cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it until it couldn't be any more pure. And providing that was supposed to be the best experience. Now, the LSD gets shut off and STP shows up. And the only thing is the hits that showed up at the hate, there was 50,000 hits that were distributed. And the hits were 50 times stronger than the proper dose. So it was a 50x hit that they, there were all of a sudden there was no LSD, and then they gave you this, it's a speed. STP-DOM is a psychedelic meth. And if you take a lot of it, it will shatter your reality and it'll cause a horrific trip that lasts for, the side effects of it can last for months to years, but it really will fry you out. STP is a horrible, horrible drug that you would only use if you wanted to torture someone and get them to kill themselves or something nefarious like that. But and it's if you look at the history of it and see how well the FBI shut down the LSD, they shut the acid fountain off, and then all of a sudden nobody knows who distributed 50,000 hits in the hate, but it was distributed. And the next thing to happen, if you look at history and counterculture, is speed and heroin. That they brought in the smack, and they also, somebody taught bikers how to make meth real easy. So we have the end of the summer of love. They always say things like, the hippie did not find enlightenment at the end of the rainbow. He found addiction and despair and death. You know, and it's like, well, of course they did, because of think tanks and what we like to call they. Some people call it Illuminati, some people call it, there's all kinds of words for it. I call it they. We're going to leave it at that. Looking at the timeline, Sid, I can't get a straight, today I went looking for the timeline on STP, okay? Because at this point you can kind of put a rough timeline together on Sid, in that he lost it now. Or might have even been earlier, might have even been in July, but it was mid 67 or late 67 is when Sid lost it. Now they did go to they're on their American tour. Pink Floyd's first American tour was early 68, and Sid was already fried. And as the legend goes, there was a 3-day weekend where Sid disappeared. And when he came back, when they found him, his lights were out. He was no longer who he was. And that happened somewhere like now. You know, today is September 6th. This is Roger Waters' birthday. I'm pretty sure this is when it happened. It may have been a little earlier. It may not, but it wasn't very much later. And my theorizing, like looking at this and thinking, okay, well, he's involved in this group of people who are deeply involved with the counterculture. This free school, there's older people that are there, there's younger people that are there, and how do we get the STP from Dow Chemical? Well, how did it show up in the hate? We know it was in the hate in the summer of love. We know that the FBI shuts down the supply of LSD, and then they flooded it with this STP. So I'm thinking, well, if Sid was living at Cromwell, and if he was hanging out with these people, these intellectuals, these professors, psychologists, doctors, these professional people that were involved with this counterculture youth group through this free school, and it was also this clinic where Sid was going and seeing a psychologist. So I'm thinking one of those people in that circle must have traveled to the United States and come back with the STP and given it to Sid. Not knowing Not they didn't like, hey, we're going to fry this guy out. I mean, it could be. There's stranger things have happened. We don't know the connections. Is Pink Floyd, like we're hearing how the Beatles, that Theodore Adorno wrote the music and handed it down to George Martin, and George Martin just, there's a guy who has he just retired, Mike, what's his name? This guy did research on the Beatles, and he went through their timeline and claimed that there's no way they would ever have been able to do what they did. If you look at the timeline of when they recorded and how fast they got the work done, that it's just impossible. No one has ever even come close to the what they did. And so this says, yeah, that they had help. Was it the same thing for Pink Floyd? Was Pink Floyd working for Tavistock Institute too? I mean, you look at Roger. I know Gilmore has given money to a charity that's on the other side of that thing, that conflict in the Middle East, that Roger's on the Palestinian side. So right there's more to this thing going on with Roger and Dave than fighting about the symbols on the second verse of the Comfortably Numb tape. There's more to the disagreement with those guys. And I'm guessing if you look at the money, you'll see what I'm saying is accurate, that Gilmore and his wife they just land on the other side of that coin. They do not agree with Save Palestine. They're on the Save Israel side of that coin. So I'm not here to say any of the stuff that I said in this video is true. Okay, this is all me just looking at stuff that I see online and trying to connect some really vague dots. So if you want to go around and say, "Oh, Sid Barrett, he didn't get his mind wiped by LSD. It was this other drug called STP that people don't really know about." You can very well do that, but you won't be able to get away with it, because there's people out there that already have their minds made up, and those people are out there to be skeptics and do their job of counterpointing anybody that points anything out of the ordinary. Where some people have a gift for that called discernment, where they can look and they can smell a rat, and they know I'm being lied to. And I'll just say, I don't like being lied to. Anyway, happy birthday to Roger Waters. Made the best music of his lifetime. Super proud of you, dude. You are allowed to be as big as a prick as you want to, or could possibly be, because we are so fucking happy and proud of you for making that the best music that's been released in your lifetime. And as far as the Sid Barrett question goes, Mother, should I trust the government? No.